Most people believe their employment contract is a simple exchange of time for money. You show up, you perform a function, and every 2 weeks, a number appears in your bank account. It's a clean transaction. But if you look closer at the math of a modern professional life in London, Munich, or New York, you'll notice that this transaction is inherently designed to keep you in a state of static stability. You earn enough to remain a high-functioning consumer, but rarely enough to buy back your time. Take a typical professional in a city like Chicago or Frankfurt. Let's call him Julian. Julian earns $75,000 a year. On paper, he's successful. He's the middle-class dream. But after the government takes its 25 to 30% and the landlord takes another 30% for a flat that's close to the action, the math starts to feel thin. Add a car lease, a student loan payment, and the inevitable cost of lifestyle maintenance. The dinners and subscriptions required to decompress from the job that pays for them. And Julian is left with a surplus of maybe $500 a month. At that rate, Julian isn't building wealth. He's just financing his own fatigue. The hidden flaw in Julian's life isn't his spending, it's his definition of assets. He thinks assets are things he buys with his leftover cash, a few shares of an index fund, or a bit of crypto. The reality is that for a job holder, the most valuable assets are often the ones they leave at the office every day at 5 p.m. In the US and Europe, we are conditioned to view our company's resources as theirs. The proprietary data, the expensive software licenses, the high-level network of vendors, and the institutional knowledge. We use these tools to make the company richer, and then we go home and try to build our own wealth from scratch, using nothing but our exhausted willpower. Psychologically, we separate our work self from our wealth-building self. We treat the office as a vacuum, where we trade energy for a paycheck, failing to realize that the company is inadvertently paying for a world-class education and a massive infrastructure that we are legally allowed to internalize. Let's look at the real cost of this mental separation. If Julian wants to learn a high-level skill like enterprise data analysis or supply chain management on his own time, he would have to pay for courses, software, and spend months finding a sandbox to practice in. That's a cost of perhaps $5,000 and 500 hours of his limited free time. However, Julian's company already pays $20,000 a year for the software he uses. They pay for his access to senior directors who have overseen billion-dollar budgets. When Julian treats his job as a time-for-money trap, he ignores these. But when he shifts to an invisible asset strategy, the math changes. Every project he takes on isn't just a task, it's a subsidized experiment. If he manages a $100,000 marketing budget for his employer, he is essentially being paid to learn how to deploy capital without any personal risk. If he does this for 3 years, he hasn't just earned $225,000 in salary. He has downloaded a $1 million infrastructure of knowledge and professional leverage. The mistake is thinking that the paycheck is the only thing of value. In reality, the paycheck is the smallest part of the compensation. The invisible asset is the ability to walk away from that job 3 years later with a specialized skill set and a network that the market values at twice his current salary. Financially intelligent people in the top 5% of earners don't work harder, they extract more. They understand that a 9 to 5 is a subsidized environment for personal R&D. They don't just do their job. They intentionally rotate into departments that handle the most valuable data. They spend their lunch hours with the people who understand the company's capital structure. They use the company's library of resources to solve problems that make them indispensable, not just to their current boss, but to the industry at large. They aren't hustling in the way social media describes it. There is no frantic energy. It's a calm, predatory focus on utility. They realize that while the company owns the laptop, they own the insights generated on it. While the company owns the client list, they own the trust built with those clients. These are assets that don't show up on a bank statement, but they are the only reason a bank statement ever grows into the 7-figure range. Wealth isn't a reward for hard work. It's a byproduct of leverage. If you are currently employed, you are sitting inside a massive engine of leverage. You can choose to be a small gear that turns and gets worn down, or you can choose to be the observer who learns exactly how the engine is built so that one day you can build your own. The paycheck will pay your rent today. The invisible assets you extract will buy your freedom tomorrow. It's not about quitting the system. It's about finally understanding how to use it. If this perspective resonated with you, you might find value in our other analyses. Subscribe to stay updated.